Getting ready for 6th grade, lesson 13, essential question. How can you write and evaluate expressions? What we need to know for this lesson is the word evaluate means to solve, and expressions are part of equations. So it's going to be the first part with the operation where there's no equal sign. Unlock the problem. Montel hires Shay to buy some tools for him at the hardware store. Montel pays Shay $5 more than the cost of the tools that she buys. A. How can you represent this payment as an expression? And B. How can you use the expression to calculate what Montel will pay Shay? So the first thing right here is in the box, it says, the problem states that Montel will pay $5 more than cost. So what operation do the words more than suggest? What operation would that be? Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. More than in this case means addition because it's a one-time payment. So now that we know we're working with addition, let's go ahead and look at the steps that we need to take. Step 1 for writing an expression for what Montel will pay. Step 1 is to choose a variable and explain what it stands for. Okay, so when they say variable, basically it can be any letter to stand in for a number. Most of the time, the letter that's used is a letter that would help you remember what it represents. In this case, they're going to tell you to use the letter C because we're talking about the cost of the tools. So you could have chose a different letter. The letter actually doesn't matter as long as you know what it stands for. So they chose C. And then this second step is to actually write a word expression. So what are you being told to represent? And that's what they did right here. It's $5 more than the cost. That's what you're being asked to represent or write. And then step 3 is to replace the word expression with an addition expression using C, the variable C. And we know that it's addition because of the words more than. And so we have right here, here's the words more than the cost. So the addition symbol is right there. Our variable is C, so that's why that is there. And then the actual number that we're being used is 5 more. And so that's where the 5 came from. So this is called an expression because there is no equal sign, and it is just 5 plus C. That's all they want to know. So now that we have our expression, let's move down to the try this. The try this says, if the tools cost a total of $18, how much will Montel pay Shay? Evaluate the expression 5 plus C for C equal $18. So evaluate, remember, means to solve. Okay, 5 plus C for C equal 18. Okay, step 1 means write the expression. So we're going to write down the expression that we created. We're going to write down 5 plus, and then C was our variable. We're replacing C with what number? Okay, we have right here C equals 18. So we're going to replace C with the number of 18. So we're going to replace it with 18. So instead of C, we're going to write 18. And then we're going to actually add to evaluate it. So 5 plus 18. Well, I'm going to start at 18 and count on. 2 more to 20, then 3 to 23. So, and that was a mental math strategy that I did. So our answer is 23. So Montel's going to pay Shay how much? He's going to pay Shay $23. And you have to remember the dollar sign because we're talking about money. If it's just 23, it may be considered incorrect because is it 23 dogs, cats, candy bars, or money as in dollars? For this Sharon show, if you feel like you have it, you can go ahead and press pause and work through it and then check your answers. If you're still a little confused, just keep watching. Alright, Sharon show, write an expression. So we're going to read a problem that's given to us and rewrite it in numbers and variables. Remember, variables are just the letter of the alphabet used to represent a number. So, Tallahassee's temperature is 15 degrees less than the temperature in Miami. I'm going to underline different things. So we're talking right here, we're talking about Tallahassee's temperature is 15 degrees less than, those are some clue words, and then the temperature in Miami. Okay, so we have the phrase less than, 1A. What operation does the phrase less than suggest? Normally, when you're saying comparing things and you're using differences, which less than is a difference, you are using subtraction. Okay, so now we need to write the word expression. So we are figuring out Tallahassee's temperature once we know Miami's temperature. So we're going to say, so to find Tallahassee's, we have to know Miami's. So our word expression, we're going to start with Miami's. So it's Miami's temp. And then we need to have it less than Miami's temperature. So that's, I chose minus. And how many degrees was it? It was 15 degrees. So I had to flip Miami and Tallahassee from the beginning because when you're doing subtraction you need the greater amount to come first. And so in this case I had to move Miami to the front of the expression. So I have Miami's temperature minus 15 degrees. So the expression for Tallahassee's temperature is what we're creating, and they want M to stand for the temperature in Miami. Okay, and normally you use lowercase letters. So let's just replace Miami's temperature is now M, and we are subtracting. And what is the degree difference? It's 15 degrees. So M minus 15. The last step is to actually evaluate the expression for Tallahassee's temperature when M equals 90. So we have M equaling 90, so it's going to be 90 minus, let me just keep my color coding, minus the 15. And so our final answer, 90 minus 15, is actually 75 degrees. So those 4 steps are what you should be thinking through on every expression that you're asked to create. So now on number 2, they're not asking you to write an expression, they're asking you to evaluate it. So they just want you to solve it. So B minus 45 when B is 70. So we're going to replace the 70 with the B. We're going to go 70 minus 45. And what's your answer? 70 minus 45 equals 25. Now this one does not have a label, so it's just 25. And number 3, 13 plus A for A equaling 40. So when a equals 40, we just rewrite it. So we keep 13 plus, and then our a is replaced with a 40. So 13 plus 40 equals 53. And again, there's no label, so it's just 53. Now that we're finished with the share and show, go ahead and press pause while you work on the on your own. Remember, just think through each steps, what you're being asked to do, what operation are you being asked to do, what numbers do you have, and what variables. And it looks like they give you what variables to use. So you're not choosing your own variable. Write the expression, and then if it asks you to evaluate it, go ahead and solve it. Press pause while you work. On number 4, it just wants you to write an expression. They're not asking you to solve anything, just what numbers and variables would you use to solve it. So, Zeke has some tropical fish, which is F, so that's going to be our variable. Dean gave Zeke 5 new fish. How many fish does Zeke have now? Okay, so how many fish does he have now? The words gave generally would mean it's addition. Okay, so we have an addition, and do we know how many Zeke had to start with? No, so that's going to be the F. And how many were given? There were 5 new fish given. So the expression for number 4 is F plus 5. So depending on how many fish Zeke had to start with first is how many fish he would have now. Okay, we're going to go ahead and we'll slide over to 5. Myra had some candles. Okay, so candles is going to be the C is our variable. She used up 12 of them. How many candles does Myra have now? Right here, the words used up means that like they've gone away, and that is generally a subtraction problem. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do my subtraction symbol. And do we know how many candles Myra had to start with? We do not. And so that's going to be C, how many she started with, and then how many did she use? She used 12. So the expression is going to be C minus 12. Depending on how many she had to start with, depends on how many she has now. So numbers 4 and 5, where you're creating the expression, 6 through 11 is evaluating the expression. Remember, evaluate means to solve, and so on number 6, you just replace the 80 for the S, and then you solve it. So your answer is 62. 7 equals 80. It also works for multiplication and division, so number 8 ends up being 78. 9 equals 3, 10 equals 96, and 11 equals 85. On number 12, they wanted you to represent Keith's height being 2 inches shorter than his sister. And shorter is a comparison, so it's subtraction. And we have to know his sister's height first, so we start with sister's height minus how many inches? 2. So S minus 2. That will be the expression to give you Keith's height. Remember, writing the expression is just writing out the variables and numbers. To evaluate is to actually solve.